what's up, guys? Got my hands on some whole dandelion root. This is some hard shit to get, man. And this isn't even all of the tap root.
Hello, Josephine. How you doing today? Hello. Just waiting on Nasut to come in. I've been kind of real tired today. How your day been? It's my Ace of Diamonds day, but I just been like real drained. Ooh, that sounds good. I love jackfruit. I need to be making me some more videos actually on cooking, and jackfruit is one of those joints where I definitely need to dive into. I made some barbecue jackfruit one day. That was busting. What's going on, brother?
Yo.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool.
Cool. How you day been?
Jackfruit, huh?
You said what?
Heard you talking about some jackfruit.
Yeah. I haven't had some jackfruit in a while, actually. It's pretty expensive in some places, but yeah, I haven't had none.
Yeah. Love a little bit of that.
You said what?
Said love a little bit of jackfruit, man.
Yeah, you make some, or you got a preferred dish with jackfruit?
Nah, I just eat it straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't cook it, or you just eat it straight?
I just eat it straight off to a straight like big ass food. I just chop it up like that.
You know, I've never eaten it like that. I don't know. Like, it just, word, like, for real. Like, every time I get it, I, like, boil it or, like, cook it somehow. But I guess that's probably how I was kind of originally introduced to it. So, hey, how you doing? But, yeah, that's how I was originally introduced to it. So I haven't really eaten it straight up yet. Like, how's the taste of it? Like, I haven't, to be honest, I haven't.
Well, see, jackfruit, like the fruit, you got to learn to pick it, or you can get one that's not too sweet. But when you pick a good, really good, pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I haven't. And whenever I cook it, so whenever I do my jackfruit, I get some tomatoes when I cook it, and then I blend tomatoes up, crush them up. Then I may put some peppers in there, and then I get some date syrup and some water to get a good mix, and like do like a barbecue, and then put the date syrup in the pot with the tomatoes, everything crushed up, and let it boil. Hey, Urban Empress, and let it boil, and then I let it boil for like 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and then I smother that sauce over my jackfruit, and then do like a barbecue. It kind of comes out and tastes like barbecue.
Ready meat or some shit.
Yeah.
For sure. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it comes out pretty good. I probably should do a demonstration on it. Yeah. So, I mean, introduce yourself. Of course, everybody probably know me. My name's Rashad, but this is the great. You say Nasut? That's how you pronounce?
Yeah. Go hold the great part. I ain't that yet. I'm get there though, for sure. Yeah, I'm the suit. I'm an herbalist and anxiety management specialist. I trained at the Center of Excellence and was certified by the International Alliance of Holistic Therapy. And yeah, man, just trying to see. This is my contribution to humanity. This is my attempt at enhancing quality of life of the human family. So I appreciate the opportunity to come speak. Whenever someone finds value in what I'm doing, it makes a fucking day, man.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. Like I said, I've been a part of this particular culture for a while. As far as like witnessing what Dr. Sebi did, that was kind of my introduction into herbal science or into holistic medicine. I don't know exactly when we connected or how long ago it was, but hey, anytime I see someone speaking about health, nutrition, and actually getting into the science of it and diving into the science of plants, I know it's worth listening to because it's really unappreciated, because you have a lot of people that take in a lot of information. And then we automatically attain the information and think is solidified off of science, without fact checking or experimentation, and without the deeper understanding of the science of plants and herbs. So anytime anyone has taken the time out to do that, I think should get much respect and should be on any type of platform. So I appreciate your study and your tenacity to learn. I know it's not easy.
Nah, it's not.
um, and what made you want to get into the science of herbs in the first place?
Well, I was sick, man. I was real sick. I was in my early or mid 20s, and I was pre-diabetic. I had hypotension, and at the time, I was struggling with an addiction of morphine and perk. Shot up when I was younger, and I got a lot of shrapnel in my legs still, which was nerve damage. And as we know, with nerve, you get pain. So the wellness clinics and the recovery clinics, they do their part. They try to can, but you need time for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't have it. So I started in herbs. I looked into Dr. Sebi's products. I used Dr. Sebi's products for myself and my had asthma really bad, had that. But then even with that, it was kind of pricey. So I started wondering about the herbs myself. And this was made 7, 8 years ago. And then I got clean, improved my health, not even pre-diabetic, no hypo. And I've been that's what got me into it.
May need to move closer to the house because it's going in and out. Maybe the Wi-Fi.
All right, hold on. What about now? Is good?
Yeah, it may come in a little bit better. It
So
was
yeah,
just going in.
I was really sick. I was
Mm.
really sick.
So was it more of your I mean, how were you eating? What was your diet like at that particular time period? And you said you was in your early 20s?
Yeah, my diet was uh, horrible. It was standard American diet, which was starch, meat, and dairy.
Mm. Right. For myself, I never really messed with the dairy, but I was an athlete all my life. So I
Yeah.
played cornerback coming out of high school and wide receiver. So I transitioned to safety. So at safety, and you got to be a big fella. you
For sure.
know. So but you got two different types. But I was about 210 when I was in college. So. I've always ate, like you said, your American standard diet: pizza, fries, and bread.
Yeah.
Pizza, fries, bread, and hamburgers, and that was about it. Like I didn't have really any diversity in my foods or in anything I was eating. So my transition was somewhat the same. I was kind of sick, you know. I didn't know how sick I was until I changed my diet. Like you don't know how good you feel until you've made the changes. Actually, like
For sure.
you like after you change your diet, and I made the changes and transition to being a vegan. Like my body felt 30 to 20 pounds. I was 30 to 20 pounds lighter, literally. I went from
Yeah.
210 to about 180 to 170. So, and in that transition, and that's one of those changes that, like, if anyone like lose weight, like all you have to do is change your diet. Like
Yeah.
it's not a struggle. If you want to get better, you want to feel better, like transition into more plant based. And a lot of people ask me about a menu or what I was eating. I mean, if I was just following the Dr. Sebi menu, was there a particular diet or anything that you transitioned to whenever you made that
Most definitely. So my what happened was I ended up going vegan for about 5 years. I went vegan. I just I didn't go straight vegan, so I went from no red meat, then just fish, no dairy, and slowly but surely, what happened was I had to get to eat the same thing over and over until I found different recipes, like you said. So there's I just went for a while, man, and it helped a lot. But as with everything else, man, you get to a point of diminishing return, and you know, that happened after a while. But yeah, did go vegan. That helped a lot. And I think I could have healed
set the
myself
connection
with
maybe
just that.
set the connection is bad wherever you are.
Shit. Hold on. Give a sec. We try to get somewhere else. Give me a quick sec, G. I'm sorry about that.
Nah, you good. I mean, with all this new updates and technologies and 5G, we should be good anywhere, right?
Should. Yeah, should. All right. So we'll see how.
And yeah, you were saying the transition.
Yeah, I think I could have honestly healed myself by just changing my diet.
Mm-hmm.
What it consists mostly was starch. If you look at bread, rice, noodles, those things, that's all starch. And
Mm-hmm.
your body is smart. It knows I can't use all of this right now, so I'm gonna store it as glycogen. And excess glycogen, um, that's never good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, diet, man. I ended up going, and I felt really good, man. Like you said, you don't even realize how up you were till you start eating better, and your body just start coming alive, bruh. I'm gonna tell you what really changed my shit is when my kids in the
When
bed
what?
in the bedroom, if you in your 20s and your dick not supposed to, you
Mm.
start saying, "Whoa,
Right, right.
whoa, I need to see somebody about." So thank the universe for that. But yeah, change that diet, got fucking. So I'm sending that fucking on all cylinders. You know what I mean? But
Nah, yeah, yeah. That's real. And
yeah,
most men don't even really think about it. You know, we have, and actually, I was looking at it the other day. You know, we have prostate cancer, and we have certain illnesses that are, unique to us, and things that we have to go to the doctors for. And my dad called me a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about my hereditary illnesses that run in my family, especially for men. And, prostate cancer may be one of those things that he was speaking to me about. And then also, I forgot exactly another, it may have been diabetes or something of that nature, or high blood pressure he was speaking of. But I mean, those are the exact reasons. I've been telling my dad about changing his diet for years, man. Like, ever since I converted my diet. What One of the main things that changed me was my grandmother got sick with pneumonia, and then she eventually passed away. And then my aunt got cancer, and then she eventually passed away. So it made me question a lot of things. I had a friend who worked where I did, he worked for Clemson. And I questioned him about our water source. You know, what's in the water, why we have these particular problems and cancer. And I was like, so he worked for a water service in Colombia, who supplies water for everyone in the area. And I was like, well, how do y'all dilute the water or whatever after, because it's come from the waste management plants. All they do is basically it comes through the waste management plants, and they just clean it out, put chemicals in it, and kill the bacteria and germs and stuff and viruses or whatever. And then, but what they do is they don't do nothing but dilute the water afterwards and give it back to us through our sinks and everything else. So, it's just those particular minor details. Like you never know what's wrong or what's the main root or cause of your problems, and usually that ties back to your food and what we drink and eat, and we wonder why we're not healing ourselves. Why we're not getting better, because we're not changing particular ways that we ingest and digest our nutrition. So
check this out, G. 100 years ago, about 35 to 40% of the food that we eat. I once heard a person say, well, this guy was about maybe 40 or 50 at the time, and he said, eat anything your grandmother wouldn't. You know what I mean? So if you're in a grocery store and you pick up food that's around 40, 50 years ago, you can eat it. You know what I mean? Man, phone is horrible connection.
yeah, it is. Like I can hear you clear. It may be like just the last word that may go out, but I can kind of hear you. You may have to just speak slow and.
For sure. So yeah, man, the food, like right now, coronavirus, searching for, keep telling everybody about updates on, the and vaccines, fear mongering, when in actuality they should tell you how to keep up their immune system, diet, supplementation, teach people to stay patient and proactive, because like any other virus, you can't kill it, man. You're not going to kill a virus, or they would have been common cold. So the only thing we can do is prevent. Prevention is, and that has to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got a call. But yeah, you said it builds up your immunity, and like you and going based on that and going back to the water, we wonder, like, we drinking tap water or we drinking sink water, but we don't even understand that the reason we having problems fighting cancer and everything else, because sometimes the thing that's holding us back is in our water. I don't know, how many people drink tap water, sink water, but whenever I went and got blood work from a nutritionist, right, and she was telling me that my candida was low in my blood, and she was seems shocked. Well, I had just got off a 40-day fast, so that may have played an effect or play into my candida count as well. But she was surprised that it was low because there was an outbreak in candida in the public water system. Yeah. Yeah. So
have you ever passed a water treatment plant?
Actually, I went on a field trip to a water treatment plant.
Gross.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually went inside one when I was in college. We actually toured one, and at the time I didn't understand, what it was, or the effects of it, or what they was doing. But then, after it was over with, I got full blown welcome to the process and where we get our water from.
Like horrible.
Yeah. Have you been inside one?
I haven't been inside one, but I live right next to one, man. The way it smells, it's like nothing good in there. You know what I mean? We shouldn't be drinking anything that at any stage in life. Fucking crazy.
What was the last part you said? We shouldn't be drinking that and that what?
Yeah, that smell. Anything that has a smell like that has to be toxic.
Right.
That don't make
Exactly.
sense.
And I don't know if anyone's aware, but what Bill Gates is doing, one thing, Bill Gates is one of those people who's like a evil genius, you know, to be honest. um, he may be one of the smartest people on the planet, but the way that he's going about things may be a little bit selfish. I do think that we have to look at, you know, ways that you know, our ancient civilizations treated themselves and treated their water systems, because you know, if you look at Kemet or Egypt, they say it was in the middle of a desert, you know. So how was they treating their water? You know, how was they um, having their public restroom or bathroom systems? It's a lot of things that can be learned about our ancient civilizations, especially, you know, within Africa. You know, we've always lived in this particular land or this region, but why are we having these particular problems now? You know, of waste and treating and trash and everything else. Like you said, the materials that our grandmother had, are, you know, we have new materials. We've created new things, and it's just a lot of waste. You know, down to the physical products in the food a lot of times, because we're trying to engineer solutions, you know, where we've always had solutions in front of our face. The one thing that he's doing something. He's taking the American concept of the way that we treat our water and taking it to Africa, and he's trying to create these massive plants that take the water that you put, or actually takes human waste and creates fresh water out of it, you know, and steams the waste, and
Distill.
yeah, and distilling steam from heating up fecal matter or waste and making distilled water from the fecal matter and giving it back to the African people.
They do it in China. Somebody came up with China to get it with sewage. They
Mm-hmm.
were able to extract fresh water out of sewage. And I'm thinking, like, damn, is it that harder to get? Is it that hard out of the water from the ocean? Sewage, you know what I mean? But then again, how grossly greedy humans are, man. Once we start doing that, we'll start watching it drop and drop and drop and drop. But you know what, man? This is the part two. I did this report about ancient Egypt, and I examined skeletons that were before the agricultural period and then after. Before industrial agriculture, ancient Egypt, the people were healthy. But once industrial agriculture came, the disease came, abundance of just eating starch, and they had a culture. So yes, they became more prosperous and influential, but they were substantially less healthy.
Wow.
And tuberculosis, this is where we get tuberculosis from, because tuberculosis comes from living too close to bovine animals. So there was outbreaks in ancient Egypt because the like I said, prosperity and influence went up, health declined really bad, and that industrial, you know, we're doing the same shit now. We have the same problem.
Mm-hmm. Word, yeah. Actually, I never knew that. That's crazy. And you can see, and I can see how, you know, they say a major influence. You know, they influence our scriptures, our Bible, and everything else. And I can see, you know, how they can see the times that we was coming into. You know, because time is nothing but cycles. You know, so that's pretty crazy. I never knew that. And I was also looking at 1816 and, you know, these particular things, the Black Plague, you know, and like you said, one of the more scientists and poets at that particular time was, you know, looking at they didn't know what a virus was at that particular time. Well, I wouldn't say that, because, you know, I think the ancient Egyptian and they knew what a virus was. They knew, like you said, they knew the problems that came about. But they don't give us credit for everything of knowing. They tried to say he was kind of crazy, or was talking about this imaginary virus that was in the air that was giving people a lung disease because the way they had the stables close to the house. So he was telling them to put the stables and the further from the house, and that way it wouldn't spread the Black Plague. And he was also talking about isolating at that particular time as well to stop the spread of the Black Plague. So you see these cycles in time, and they always lead back to the same problems. So it's just baffling that we still coming up, with the same solutions and hardly getting anywhere.
Man, I think when it comes to ancient Egypt, is real. So I'm reading some biology shit, and there's a process of controlled cell death or suicide called apoptosis. And one of the Egyptian deities is death, Apep. Apep or Apop. That was really familiar. One of my boys talking about, I said, you know what, that sounds, who you're talking about, that sounds real similar to the process of Apep or controls. Process helps to not produce tumors, you know what I mean? If the process will be tumors all over the place, you know what I mean? Because that cancers is uncontrolled cell growth. So death is in the destruction of things. Controlled destruction is most definitely necessary. And I think they may have had an idea about that. I mean, because a lot of Egyptian mythology, it is dynamic and across the various aspects of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely a science. That's one reason that kind of I stopped kind of following a lot of. I ain't gonna say stop following, but I kind of started looking at certain historians because it's history is fun, but I'm gonna be honest, history is science. Like what the ancient Commissions and Egyptians, what they were creating, the murals and everything on the wall was all a science. I don't look at anything as a tale or a fable or a story. Even in they say the scriptures of the Bible came from their walls. So they was able to predict time and look at the future based on astrological science. So if they was able to do that, they had to know about the science of the body as well. And and then as you look at some of the murals on the wall, I should have screenshotted one. But there's 12 men in the boat, or something that dynamic. And I always know that relates back to our DNA and our helix and our histones and all of those particular aspects of our DNA. Ra, the sun god, talking about atoms and that physical essence of what life is. The sun is what feeds us energy. So it's all concepts that always relate to science. So I definitely stopped looking at what they was talking about as just a story or fable about gods, because it's really a science book.
Straight up. And it seems there's had, and I don't want to get too off track of health and herbs, but I think this is important, or at least very interesting to me. There's recent evidence suggests there was a period of human history where we were more advanced than we thought, because you find in Egypt light bulb, helicopter, advanced understandings of scientific concepts, and the evidence to substantiate this is, here's one on the Sphinx. On the top of the Sphinx, you have water erosion mark.
You have water what?
Erosion mark from rain. The only time that area got that much rain was in the Green Sahara, which predates their time date on the Sphinx by thousands of years, at least 10,000 years prior to what they think.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have a place in Turkey called Göbekli Tepe, very advanced architecture. Based off of the shit that we can tell they were very advanced civilization. The carbon dating of that area brings us back to 20,000 years. There's also geological and archaeological, not archaeological, but geological records showing that there was some kind of like asteroids or some kind of solar radiation that took out a large amount of people on the planet. It took people out. So this says that there was a period of time where we were advanced. This catastrophe hits, we go into our ice age. Those who can retain or keep some of their artifacts like Göbekli Tepe in Egypt, that's just of what we were going to face. So I do think, yeah, we have way more of science and shit than we suppose they did. We're a lot more than we give ourselves.
Yeah, most definitely. And let me, and as you can, and that goes into the concepts. If you look at, actually, I took a screenshot. Let me bring this up.
Okay, Sumer, that's
Yeah. So if in this particular picture, even the chaga, what you was talking about, psychedelics, were the terms of psychedelics and mushrooms, herbal herbs, have great healing powers and psychedelic powers that they studied. If in that particular picture, that's a famous picture, but what he has is a pine cone, in his hands.
yeah.
So they was very into the knowledge of what the pine cones and the herbs can do for one's spiritual essence as well, and the healing powers, that was all about mental elevation. So that was very well advanced. We're scared of psychedelics in today's civilization, within weed, marijuana, or anything, And for myself, I know that I'm a creator, and I like to write, I like to read, and what pushes me is is those particular, one of my most creative moments have came from smoking. I'm gonna be honest, and then also one time, as far as visually for me, I had took a mushroom. I've never taken mushrooms, never taken a psychedelic. I don't encourage people to, unless you have in the proper area and within the lawful area. But my experience was like I seen colors I never seen before. I seen I was just outside chilling, and I can see just a vibrant essence around the trees and within the world. So you tap into different stages or wavelengths in your brain and chemical imbalances, because our visual is science. You know what I mean? It's energy. Whenever we're looking out or anything, we're looking at something, it's a genetic code that's making you reflect that particular picture based on the DNA and structure of that, molecule or atom. It's the structure of those molecules which makes it. So what they knew was very underrated, and that's how they was able to do a lot of things, because they tapped into the science of these plants and these herbs, into the deeper sciences of the earth, and maybe they did get too deep into it. Once you tap into a different psychology or something, the world probably wants to buy it. Like you said, they started industrializing these plants and these herbs. I wouldn't be surprised. That's the reason why Afghanistan is one of the biggest, highest of cocaine distributions. Or creating.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if I'm wrong on that. I know they do, operate. Opium comes from that area.
Yep. That's the plant we get heroin from. That's the mama of all opioids, the poppy plant, heroin. And herbs most definitely had exalted place in ancient history. Herbs were like a gateway to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's mother, father plants, there's grandfather plants, there's grandmother plants. And once you experience, you understand why. There's shit like ayahuasca. And what's so about ayahuasca is it takes use a few plants to get it to be active. The DMT in the ayahuasca vine is not enough to give you a psychedelic experience.
Mm-hmm.
But the people of the area, so here, ayahuasca has DMT in it.
Mm-hmm.
DMT is psychoactive ingredient. But if you eat that stomach acids, destroy the molecule so you don't get the effects. The people of this area found plants that act as an inhibitor of those acids, those amine inhibitors, to enable the plant. You can't tell me that these plants don't have a force that they can, you know what I mean? There's something about plants that we should realize or give credence to step, you know what I mean? And I think at this point it's so scary because even opium, where heroin is produced from, had an exalted place in China. Only the elite, only the royal were able to smoke that. The British came in, hey, everybody could smoke opium, so they gave it to the lower class. You don't do that. You don't give people who are disadvantaged something like opium, that tendency. That's when you had that epidemic in China. You had opium dens. You had opium. They wasn't have. It was used as a tool for the elites, for those above. It wasn't for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what most plants that's used today. When we had the proper knowledge and respect, we knew how and who to use. You know what I mean? And nowadays, it's not so. But the information to be bestowed again to have that respect.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, like I said, I respect you or anyone that studies the plants, because you are the high, the high priest. Those are the high priest, Batalaza, or the spiritual witches of our past. The high priest or the preacher were, I think the pharmacists, or the natural pharmacists who knew, or botanists who knew the structure of plants, and that goes into the spiritual modalities of the plants as well. Knowing how DMT work, knowing how to activate DMT within your body was a spiritual practice. That we once held to certain people, like you said, it was a priesthood. It was reserved for certain individuals
Right.
who. Yeah, it's a rite of passage. It should be as a rite of passage onto a higher spiritual thinking, spiritual way. They say you got the 85% that may never cross over into that spiritual realm, which I think that's what the 85% is. And you can see that reflected on social media, to be honest, or some people just like to live in the mundane world. Some people don't like to cross over, don't want to delve into that spiritual world. They don't want to touch into that side. and they don't understand the and what you're doing when you're taking drugs, or even when you're smoking weed or any cigars, you're activating a spiritual essence of yourself. You know, you're diving into a spiritual world. It's a spiritual connection that's higher than you, because there's one concept of a planet called Rahu, or your North Node. You know, that's your journey that you take through life and your ultimate destination. And that's a part of you that is greed as well, because it has certain physical incarnations that it wants, you know, based on your astrological chart. So actually, and that can activate your ultimate destiny. But with that comes this greed as well, becomes spiritual transcendence and also a form of greed. So it's like there's a fight between this want and the spiritual transition. So as your body is fighting, you're also diving into your lowest, what seemingly, you know, can be your lower self, or the addictions that you have that you just can't let go. So you have to, like you said, there should be a rite of passage and how you hone in these addictions and these spiritual essence that you're trying to see with outside your body. You know, there should be some type of passage, or when someone's operating on the ayahuasca, there should be some shamans and things of that nature that has study your astrological charts. Is your Rahu damaged? You know, there can be benevolent planets that may be where you may be prone to addiction or any of those type of things whenever you mess with plants. And especially if you're one of those people that's going to be stuck in the mundane world, that may not be for you. You know, if you don't want to transcend spiritually and grow and understand the difference between possession and addiction and spiritual transcendence. So yeah, it's deep. You know, as far as when you're working with the herbs, you don't know what you're activating. You know, you're not you a lot of people not understanding the addictions and the spiritual essence that they're really tapping into. So that particular rite of order needs to be revitalized. You know, I think we stepping into that science and that understanding, and like I said, people that like you that understands the essence of these plants are definitely, you know, valued. I know you sent me some supplements, and I don't want to stay on here too long, but we may have to do this again because I don't know how good the connection is. But you sent me the supplements. This is the mushrooms. If you want to go over this one, this has chaga in it, if I'm correct.
Yes, that's one of the and actually chaga isn't it's a mushroom. Mushrooms aren't plants.
Hmm.
Mushrooms are life that genetically are closer to plants. That's why it's hard to get rid of fungus's body, because that kills it. Is that connection worse in here?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, so that's mushroom. That in a nutshell, chaga is an important mushroom because it's more nutritionally dense than almost any other mushroom you'll find, which renders it an adaptive. Amongst nutrients it contains, and melanin usually isn't considered a nutrient. It's not thought of as such,
You
but
said
it is.
melanin, is it?
Yeah, usually people don't think of melanin as a nutrient. They
Mm.
think of it as, something you have, but not as a nutrient that you can supplement. And yes, you can. Um, when it's in your body, it's a very powerful anti. And to not get too scientifically, not to get into all the nomenclature, technical, it takes electrons from what we call free radicals. Electrons in a body are not good, or I should say, in a atom extra electrons, one hanging in the outer balance, is not good. It's real reactive. So melanin goes ahead and snaps it up, and that's what a free radical is. Melanin does an excellent job at doing this, and cherry mushroom is one of the best sources of melanin you can get. At least that's bioavailable orally. It's also very good for your mind. So we also have dhamyana in it. Dhamyana is one of the best central nervous system relaxers. If you drink dhamyana by itself, it brings like an overwhelming feeling of well-being. That's dhamyana. And this is because it's relaxing your nerves, and that helps you to realize how stressed you are.
Help you realize what? I didn't hear that part.
How stressed. You won't
Okay.
even realize how stressed you are. You think, hey, you drink the dhamyana, and you're not like sedated. So it's more body, musculoskeletal relaxed feeling. Then, and by the way, dhamyana is one of the ingredients in marijuana, but it's not. You won't get the same effect with it alone. The last one is kratom. Some people pronounce it kratom. Where it comes from in Southeast Asia is more commonly pronounced. This plant here, so like I don't know how many. I'm gonna go ahead and just say millions of people break free of opioid addiction. It has a mechanism that's similar to opioids. It is in fact an opioid. It
It's categorized as an opioid?
is not an opioid, but its method of like an opioid. Kratom. It's helped millions get off opioids because it can decrease these withdrawal symptoms by like 75-80%. And it also helps with inflammation during this time, depression and anxiety, which are all symptoms of inflammation and of withdrawal. This plant right now is fucking villainized like hell because Big Pharma already knows what's up. They know once this shit gets through. Mark my word. When kratom or kratom hits the market, is done. The opioids is done. At least for people who really want to get clean. At least for them. Say that. But an important thing about addiction is if you decide to use kratom to get clean, you do need to feel some of that pain from withdrawal, or you won't appreciate the struggle of getting better. You don't feel no pain. So I'll say that. But those are the two herbs and one fungus I decided to use. To me, that made because you need when you're on them opioids, when you're on any drugs, because it's designed to help those with anxiety and depression, but specifically from drug use, because options they have to get better are just as addictive as fucking Suboxone and all that shit. It's just as addictive as the shit you're trying to get off. So this, I decided you replenish the nutrients and minerals that have been offended by the substance use, but go ahead and take the edge off, take the pain away. If you really want to help people, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's that. That's the pronoia, anxiety, depression, inflammation.
And those are the three. All three of those are within these tablets.
Powder form. Yep. And I'll be using bigger tablets. I don't want people to have to take so many.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go ahead and get some.
Okay, most definitely. I mean, I know addiction runs in my family, man. To be honest, I know family members that's addicted to drugs and certain things. And as I'm, as we look at things and as I study more, I'm starting to understand the concept of, my north node and the concept of pineal gland and this light activation that we are looking for and that we all want, and this understanding of the higher spiritual essence. And I don't think we understand what we actually are addicted to. What are we actually looking for? What are we actually trying to? What is our body trying to create from us? What is our body trying to synthesize from light and from our foods or from these particular drugs? Like you said, it's a search for elevation.
Yeah.
And it's in the foods. The foods help you elevate to a higher form and a higher being of spiritual essence. Yeah.
But see,
So.
that's why I decided to take anxiety management course, because some situation, the anxiety, if you worried about losing your job, but you're doing the right thing,
Mhm.
recognize that as a cognitive distortion, replace it with a positive thought.
Mhm.
But if you're not doing well, you're not supposed to do, you're supposed to choose. And then when you that makes you feel good about your situation, that's that's starting dependency. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Which is you don't have a positive thought to replace the negative thought with. You need to start doing things to be able to do that, or you're gonna. That's the underlying cause. You got to do the inner work. So, but sometimes you're doing the inner work, you just need a little help. I mean, and when I got off of the opioids, I didn't have that at the time. I just went straight cold turkey, and then I ended up finding some shit to assist me. You know what I mean? And it would have been much easier, but you have to want to do it.
Mhm.
And I think this here, man, it it works. And even if you're not, people are anxious. You get it's people depressed. You got inflammation. It's a superfood. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and most definitely because I mean, if you're looking at sugar, they say sugar is about 1 molecule away from crack. So we don't know what we're addicted to. We don't know that our body is really trying to synthesize certain um, uh, acids and vitamins within our body to to support our body, support our cellular structure, to support our pineal gland, to make sure that that our system and body is working properly. They and actually I was looking at the calcification of the pineal gland, something that's normal because it is a crystal, and the use of phosphorus within our bodies aids our the pineal gland and that particular structure. So all of these systems working together. Your body is looking to perform in its top tip, state of being, and so it's looking for these things that they're recognizing as psychotic drugs, and we're getting anxiety because we don't know what our body is really trying to synthesize and create within ourselves and trying to reach this higher form of consciousness. You know, Food is a consciousness, it
Yeah.
connects the other side into the spiritual world. So it only makes sense, with chaga, just that one simple ingredient in this production and this use with melatonin and melanin within our body, we couldn't probably exist without melanin or melatonin. So anybody trying to get over any type of addictions, your body is really trying to transcend, it's really trying to become a light body in essence, it's really trying to convert the light that you're getting from the sun into this code that supplies your body with signals to activate the particular vitamins within your body. It's like coding. We're going through a coding process with the intake of these herbs. So just based on those simple ingredients, I see how you're intaking ingredients that's supplying your body with essential nutrients and essential vitamins to help it convert light.
And then
Yeah.
in bio, they got something called, sorry for cutting you off, but they
Okay.
got something called cofactors. Cofactors are substances that help another substance to, it's like an enzyme. So
Mhm.
with chocolate, something called K1.
Mhm.
This helps to this helps the body to synthesize vitamin D,
Mhm.
which we synthesize under the sun naturally. And this is the reason why Black people have been affected by corona more, and it's because vitamin D is your immune cells have vitamin D receptors. Vitamin D
Mhm.
certain important aspects of your immune system. And if you're a person of color, if your genetics come from Africa or somewhere where people are dark, and now you're living in the United States or north of the equator, you're most definitely vitamin D deficient. And if you're vitamin D deficient, you're fighting corona if you get it.
Mhm.
Or maybe not you specifically, but as a whole, compared to other races whose come from a place where they don't get too much sun. You know what I mean? So you'll see a Somali population in Sweden who's decimated by fucking corona. They're too
Mhm.
far from their environment. So if at least they should be consuming plants from their environment, or it's getting chilly. You want to be supplement. You want to, if you're a person of color, I can guarantee you you're vitamin D deficient. So you are. So when you take like the chaga, you are maybe not taking in vitamin D directly, but you're facilitating the process of creating it.
Yeah, I was actually going to show some papers after I went on my fast. We probably got like one more minute, so we're gonna end. I don't want to go. Yeah, it's counting down 2 minutes and counting. So what we basically want to wrap it up. So you got the herbs that's synthesizing, like you said, the particular nutrients that we all need here, and I know you're perfecting that. And there's also two other antiviral formula
Yeah,
that you have.
yeah.
We might have to do another live to talk about this, and I'll hit you up here later on. I got class in a minute. But
Okay.
this particular antiviral is something else that's going to help us. So basically, what we talk.
Talk about that real quick. That right there is very important because that that antiviral stops the progression. Viruses get in you,
Mhm.
and they use your biological genes to produce. Their DNA is on the outside of them. They can reproduce. Unlike a bacteria where you can localize, you can kill it. Shit, viruses stop the progression of them and let your body do the rest. If we can kill viruses, they're pure. But you can most definitely progression. If you stop the growth, that dictates the degree to which a virus has.
Word. And I smelt and taste the oregano in it as well. So I definitely know that's antiviral. I've used that before. So we're at 20 seconds and counting. So we're gonna connect. We're gonna do like maybe another live. Maybe I don't know how the connection was. We're gonna watch it and play back. I asked some people, but 10 seconds and counting.